Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Guten Tag. This is Won-Suk Choi, and I'm currently majoring in English Language and Literature and also the interdisciplinary program in Global Environmental Management. It is a great honor for me to participate in this conference, and indeed, I have participated in the previous conference. And at that time, I was an audience, and I asked the presenter about the question whether they have the teacher's education as well. And now I'm here as a presenter, so dreams come true. So Professor Park told me to be relaxed and enjoy today's conference, so I will enjoy today's conference, and everyone please do so. So today, I would like to share how environmental DNA tools can engage individuals in conserving biodiversity. And before I go on with my presentation, first I would like to show a video that points out the problem that I'm trying to address through today's presentation. So let us watch the video together.
And then there is citizen science, a great way to get involved through the avenues of research. Engaging in real data gathering provides more observers of the natural world. We've said before that there aren't enough scientists to do it all. There's still so much to know about what's out there and how to monitor it, how to figure out how it's being affected by worldwide human activities, and how to minimize negative impacts. Every science project needs to result in data that can be formed into a conclusion. If you're going to have scientists collecting data, you need to be able to train them to collect the kinds of data that are crucial, the kinds of data that are going to be germane to science. You need to provide some direction and guidance. During that process of training people to engage in science, you greatly enhance their awareness of biodiversity and why it's important. You plant these seeds in people's minds and they tell other folks, I'm involved in this really great citizen science project. And I think that kind of education at even the most basic level truly can change the world.
Yeah, so how was the video? It was short, right? Well, though it was short, I think there was a strong message, and I'm trying to tell about the message. So for me, I focus on the point that there aren't enough scientists to gather real data from the natural world, and also there's still so much to know out there, but we are lack of people who can actually help us with those projects. So I hope everyone to keep this in mind, and I will go back to this point during my presentation. So the title of my presentation is eDNA, Environmental DNA, the Power of Individuals in Conserving Biodiversity. And before we check out how individuals can contribute to biodiversity conservation through eDNA, let us first see how biodiversity is interrelated with the sustainability. Yeah, so the sustainability cannot be discussed without biodiversity. When we hear the word sustainability, we can think of UN Sustainable Development Goals, known as the UN SDGs. In 2015, nations established the UN SDGs, which is consisted of 17 Sustainable Development Goals and 169 more specific targets. And as we can note from its name, these goals aim to achieve a sustainable society. But surprisingly, there is one common prerequisite for these goals to be achieved. And can anyone guess about it? It's the biodiversity. During the 10th COP of Convention on Biological Diversity, the parties adopted Aichi biodiversity targets to mainstream biodiversity across governments and also the society. And today we'll focus on the interconnectedness of UN SDGs and Aichi targets to find out why we need to conserve biodiversity when we talk about sustainability. Well, when I told you about the UN SDGs and biodiversity are somehow correlated, I believe some of you would think of Goal 14, the life below water, and Goal 15, the life on land. Yes, it's obvious that these goals should consider biodiversity. But what I want to emphasize is that not only these two goals, but all the 17 goals cannot be achieved without concerning biodiversity. In the field of biodiversity, Aichi targets are consisted of 5 strategic goals, as shown on the screen, and each goal has specific targets which add up to a total number of 20. And when we look at the interrelation between the SDGs and Aichi biodiversity targets, we can see that there is no single SDG that has no connection with biodiversity. For example, let us see the Aichi target number 14. This goal aims to restore and safeguard the ecosystems while considering the needs of women, indigenous communities, and the poor and the vulnerable. This Aichi target is related with SDG number 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 13, 14, and even 15. So we have seen why we need to consider biodiversity along with the sustainability. Then how can we address biodiversity more effectively? The biggest problem with it is the absence of global goal with specific figure. In the field of climate change, the stakeholders came up with a global goal to limit the rise of global temperature well below 1.5 degrees Celsius. And this goal with specific figure motivates governments, individuals, NGOs, and enterprises to come up with specific mitigation and adaptation measures. And it also functions as a key performance indicator. But on the other hand, in the field of biodiversity, we do not have a global goal with specific figure. For example, if parties of CBD can come up with a specific goal, such as limiting the extinction of currently identified fauna and flora species to well below 20%, then the world would be able to evaluate their current status and also recognize their contribution. However, for us to come up with such a figure, we first need to identify as many species as we can. But the problem is, there are not enough scientists to gather real data from the nature world. Just as we have seen in the first video, we are in need of more people to conduct species inventory and set a global agenda. So the success of biodiversity conservation naturally depends on the engagement of civil sector. Though Aichi targets partly succeeded in mainstreaming biodiversity across governments, it failed to engage individuals. Individuals should be engaged since they are familiar with local regions and their production and consumption behaviors both influence and are influenced by surrounding ecosystems. Then what is the reason for their low contribution? Well, it's simple. In real-life situations, they do not have many choices. They can hold seminars and participate in lectures to raise awareness, but there are not many practical actions that they can take so they can feel that they are actually contributing to the biodiversity conservation. This makes individuals feel as if this biodiversity conservation is the area of experts and researchers that have no relevance with them. So it's important to provide opportunities for them to be part of practical biodiversity monitoring and conservation. And a great example that shows the potential of individuals is the BioBlitz, a species inventory conducted by local communities and scientists. They go out to the field to search for species. And in 2014, people gathered at Golden Gate National Parks, and within 24 hours, they found 2,304 species, and more than 80 of them were newly identified in the area. But there are certain problems with it. The first one is that there are time and place constraints. And the second, we can miss some species that were not seen. And third, it can also cause harm to ecosystem, and people can get also injured while searching for this species. So this is what I want to propose. We can handle these issues by adopting eDNA kits. Environmental DNA refers to the DNA that is released from organisms via hair, skin, and etc., and it can be extracted from the soil, water, and even air. The eDNA is cost-effective, causes less stress on ecosystem, prevents researchers from harms, and can also conduct species inventory with a bottom-up approach. It's effective in identifying rare, threatened, unseen species, and enables monitoring invasive species as well. In the Elbe estuary in the northern Germany, the eDNA have been extracted from 6 stations, and a large number of invertebrate fauna were recovered. Recently, the Korea Environment Institute has also developed eDNA tools for civil participation. But many people can question the credibility and practicality of eDNA kits. Well, I believe the world is more ready than ever for utilizing eDNA kit. And there is a reason why I'm saying this. Did anyone find it difficult to do self-COVID-19 test after reading the instructions? Is there anyone? No, we all did, right? And it's the same with eDNA kit. People can easily get it done, step by step, and the kit is designed to limit the possible error occurrence. So by modifying and distributing eDNA self-kits, individuals can contribute to create a species inventory, starting from their local regions. Now is the time for us to act together from where we are. This would bring our sustainable future come true. Thank you.